Welcome to Performance Upgrades. I'm your host, Dave Moss. Today's show is brought to you by SportBikeWrench.com, performance parts and professional advice. Today's show is all about putting an aftermarket air filter in the bike. Why? Well, we just got our Leo Vinci system put on. We need to put the air filter in as well because we are going back to the dyno for Manny to give us a fuel map. We've already done the Bazaz ZFI install as well, so this is the last component we need. So let's get to tearing our bike apart and putting the air filter in. I'm going to start by taking the seat and the side panels off the bike. And our Motion Pro T handles make this a very easy job. Next, we'll take the top component of the steering stabilizer itself off. We'll undo these two bolts first. Make sure that they are completely loose. I'm not going to attempt to take it off yet because we need to undo the clamp bolts. Now I'm going to use this Allen to undo the clamp component here, get that nice and loose. Now I should be able to go ahead and remove the steering damper easily, which we can. That leaves the base plate in place. Now we need to go ahead and remove the tank component and take that off. And remove that and put it with the damper itself. Okay, at this point, we're now ready to go ahead and lift the tank up. Now in lifting the tank up, you want to obviously go ahead and support the tank. In shows past, we've used our trusty mallet, wonderful tool. However, going through the toolbox, we actually have the real Suzuki component. So this has to take a break. We'll go ahead and use our component from Suzuki. So we'll lift the tank. We'll go ahead and set that through there, and we will set that in there. And now the tank is safely up in the air. I'm not going to do much more than this because our airbox is right here. So we need to remove our relays on the top. We need to remove the connector there. And now our airbox is free. We have one Allen to remove here and then a whole slew of Phillips screws. Okay. Next is to find all the Phillips screws and then unscrew all of those and just work your way around the airbox. No rush to do this, just take your time. Once the screw hits the top of the thread and it's released, you'll hear it clunk and it'll sit back down to the thread. So make sure you go far enough where you can hear that on every single screw. And there's a bunch of them. So this will take you a couple minutes. Now that we've got all the outer screws done, there's a hole in the middle of the airbox which will need a very long Phillips screwdriver. So go ahead and locate that carefully. Obviously you're doing this blind. Take your time, all about feel as usual. There. And then go ahead and undo this. And this should be the last screw that we need to take the top of the airbox off. Okay. Now make sure you can move the box around. Next is there's an air line here which needs to come off the top of the airbox. Now check the box is free carefully, which it is. Make sure that's out of the way. Move our sensor from the top of the airbox out. Move the rubber line out of the way, pick it up and keep it straight. Do not tip it backwards. You don't want screws everywhere. There's nothing worse than spending half an hour with a magnet trying to find your way around and find what you lost. Okay, now that the top's off the airbox, and as this is a used bike, this is the first time we've opened it up, we found an aftermarket air filter in there. So that would explain why we initially got such good dyno numbers on the bike. the first time Manny ran it. Let me explain a few things. However, it's utterly caked and filthy, disgusting. So we're going to replace it with a new one, and we'll go ahead, service this, and have it as a backup spare. Now, as the airbox is apart, I always like to clean this. A lot of people go, what? There's dust and all kinds of debris in here. There's no problem with just using a little bit of cleaner in here. A little blue shop towel, wipe it all out. Only takes a couple seconds. It's not like the old two-stroke days where you had to degrease it with WD-40 and re-grease it every time you came on and off the track. The new stuff is much easier to work with. So give your airbox, at least on the side where the filter's going to go, just give it a quick wipe around, make sure there's no bits of debris in there, no rocks, anything like that.